People are concerned about the words they use. The reason Americans care about civil rights, the reason we are sensitive to racism is for one issue and one issue only, and that is how Black Americans were treated in this country. It is because of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. Those do not compare. Irish, the new groups, they always get a little bad treatment. Do not compare that to how Blacks are treated in this country. You don't get to piggyback on the Black experience in America. You do not get to do that just because you are a woman, an immigrant, gay, Hispanic. No, the rest of you can go F yourselves. No, this is for Black Americans. We seem to have forgotten them. It's not a rainbow coalition.
They're teaching their children to white people. They're teaching them, and I know that it probably sounds a little out there, but our little one, they need to be prepared what could happen to them in certain situations. These people say they're the ones that live in fear, and they're the ones that are scared, and there's all these sundown towns and everyone's against them, when we all actually know the truth. And our kids and our family members and just people that are not aware of what's really out there working against us, they need to know. And don't feel bad for going to people that you love and care about and saying, hey, don't go to these big festivals in cities. Don't go where there are large groups of these people. Don't go there, because you don't know what could happen.
We cannot forget or ignore the fact that we stole people from their native land. We stripped them from their families, from their culture, and from their birthright.
White America is in a big panic. After the truth, they try to hide for generations about slavery, racism, stolen wealth is finally catching up to them. Now they are trying to ask forgiveness to Black people, and those people they've been there trying to silence. Let's dive into today's episode. Drop your thought in the comment section. Then we'll come back with more commentaries.
What did Black people in America do to deserve this level of hatred and disdain? Most of us, our ancestors, we started coming here in the year 1619. We've never started a war with you. We've never tried to take the country away. We've never undermined the country. So my question here in America, what did Black people do to deserve this level of ongoing hatred and disdain? That is my question, America. Thank you.
I am the wife of Pastor Les Robinson. Quickly, we've seen America rally behind court cases through the years over intellectual property and real property, oftentimes resulting in millions of dollars in restitution. We rally behind it without the blink of an eye because it's something that has been stolen, and restitution should be made. We cannot forget or ignore the fact that we stole people from their native land. We stripped them from their families, from their culture, and from their birthright. Yet white America has turned a blind eye to this and say they should get over it, or it's been so long and it doesn't affect the African Americans today because it happened so long ago. On behalf of myself, my family, and my ancestors, I want to publicly apologize to the African American community for our ignorance, our arrogance, our insensitivity to your cause, and for any part we may have had in the atrocities done to your people. I stand here today humbly to show my love and support. Whether enslaved or freed, we know that many African Americans have had inventions they didn't get credit for and therefore earned no revenue. Land was stolen from many, as in my husband's case. My husband has the deeds to these properties that state this land belongs to my descendants forever and ever. There should be no question of what should be done. His land has been stolen, his generational wealth stolen, the schooling opportunities he should have had stolen, his opportunity to grow up in a safe environment where his family could afford housing stolen. He was forced into poverty, running to and from school, hoping to avoid getting into a fight or even getting shot and killed. This wasn't the legacy his grandfather left him. His rightful inheritance was stripped from him. Where is his restitution? There is no record of the properties ever being sold. If this were a claim about a white man's property being stolen, I'm sure the court case would have been resolved by now. He should have the right to reclaim financial compensation for what was left to him by his great-great-great-grandfather, Daniel Blue.
Thank you so much.
Give me your strongest argument in support for reparations and reparations right now.
Reparations right now, and we should have been having reparations because foundational Black Americans built this country from scratch. If it were not for foundational Black Americans giving hundreds of years of free labor, this country would not be in the position it's in right now. And the whole argument was that was long ago. No, the money is not long ago. The money generated and the wealth is still here. Money doesn't disappear. It gets compounded and passed down through generations. The money has been passed down and the debt of slavery has been passed down generationally to us, and we have to be repaired. Nobody has a problem with Native Americans getting compensated. They don't say that was long ago. That was long ago, and they get casinos and they get compensated now. Nobody says, well, I wasn't there when the Native Americans are getting chipped off. No, I didn't have anything to do with Native Americans getting put on reservations, but my tax dollars go to help them. I didn't have anything to do with people being put in concentration camps in Nazi Germany. Some of my tax dollars go to that. I didn't have anything to do with the Japanese out here on the West Coast being put in internment camps during World War II. When they started giving them money in the 80s and 90s, that was some of my tax dollars. So 9/11, when those buildings went down in New York, some of our tax dollars went to the victims of that. I didn't fly no planes into nobody's building. But when it comes to us, everybody wants to waive responsibility. Everybody has benefited from the slavery of foundational Black Americans and the free labor that we provided the wealth for. Everybody benefits from that right now, and we are the only group has not been compensated. We have to be compensated for that.
And how do you argue against somebody that is against reparations? Considering you said all of that, you will still have people say, I still don't support it.
Well, that's just I'm white and I say so. We call that I'm white and I say so. Listen, most of the country didn't support Black people being free from slavery. They didn't support that. It was Black people fighting for that. It was Black people who were the Maroons, and I got a movie about the Maroons coming out. Black people fighting from the swamps, attacking plantations. They were destroying most of the plantations in Florida. They don't talk about that. There were Black people fighting in the Civil War. If it weren't for the Black troops fighting, they would not have won the Civil War. The South was winning at first. They don't tell you that. That's why most of those military schools are in the South. They were winning until the Black people joined the Union. Then they started to defeat the South. During the Civil Rights Movement, white people didn't fight for our civil rights. White people were perfectly fine with us living on the other side of the tracks, drinking out of that water fountain over there. It was us stopping that bullshit. It was us moving the needle. They try to remix it now and say, well, white people were walking side by side. No, white people were perfectly fine with what was happening to us. Most white people did not want us to have civil rights. We said, no, we're going to get the civil rights and we're going to be treated like human beings. And then we made it happen. We're making it happen with reparations now. I don't give a damn what a white supremacist want or don't want. That person wants me somewhere butt naked, hanging in a tree somewhere. Damn what he want. I want us to get equal and just and equitable treatment, and we're going to get that.
Discriminating again on the basis of race,
No.
reinforcing the divides.
The reason white people don't want to pay reparation to African Americans is racism, is anti-blackness. And he's talking about how, are we gonna discriminate against a group of people again? Are we gonna be divisive? Bitch, Europeans, American Europeans have a problem with paying anything at all or acknowledging the crimes against Black people. Germany did that too. They paid reparation to a group of people, and then when it came to Namibia, not only they refused to pay reparation, but they didn't even want to acknowledge the genocide, the horrors they committed in Namibia. And when they did, not long ago, it was passingly. Your racism, your anti-blackness is the reason why you don't want to pay reparation. Stop talking about discrimination. It's more like they don't have enough respect for Black people to pay Black people. The white imagination does not perceive, has never perceived, will never perceive Black folks as human, which is why we have also the incidents with the police, automatic shooting when they run into a Black person. According to the data compiled by Congressional Research Services, as of January, U.S. aid to Israel between 1946 and 2023 is more than $246 billion once you adjust to inflation in terms of 2021 US dollars. How many billion Congress approved for Ukraine? about $100 billion. No, they have the money. They just don't have the respect for Black people that will allow them to pay reparations to Black people. That's it.
So white people will never leave Black people alone, and I'm going to tell you why. White society's obsession with Black people isn't new. It's centuries old. If you think about slavery, colonialism, and exploitation, from the start, white wealth in America was built off the backs of Black bodies. Sugar, cotton, tobacco, rice. This wasn't just economics. It was a system where white people's very identity was shaped around controlling and owning and watching Black bodies. But here's the wild contradiction in all of this, right? While trying to dehumanize us, white culture has always been obsessed with us, right? They copied our music, our style, our language, our food, even our rhythm, all while denying us basic rights. Think about jazz and rock and hip hop and fashion, all born out of Black genius, only to be taken, watered down, and sold back to the world with a white face on it. So why can't they just stay away? Because in a system that is built both on exploitation and envy, distance is impossible. White supremacy depends on keeping Black people in place, close enough to use, control, or imitate, but never free enough to threaten the hierarchy. It's a sick paradox, fear and fascination at the same damn time. On a psychological level, it's projection. White folks will project their guilt, their fear, and their insecurities onto Blackness, and then turn around and crave the very life, culture, and resilience they tried to destroy. It's like they want the sauce, but not the struggle. Now, to be real, not every white person acts like this, but the system, the way whiteness has defined itself against Blackness, makes it so this obsession keeps resurfacing. Whether it's over policing or culture appropriation or trying to legislate our lives, it always comes back to the old need to dominate mixed with a quiet desire to be what they can't.
This is one of the most well-articulated pro-reparations arguments that I've ever heard.
On race. It's based on status. A Black person who comes here from Nigeria or Jamaica or Brazil, they're not owed a penny from America. They chose to come here. We are talking about the people who are freedmen, the descendants of people emancipated by this country. We still know those people, because you are one of those people. I am one of those people. A lot of those people here in the audience, I just told you I could break down my genealogy. My dear Nana was 101 when she died. My great-grandfather just died 3 weeks ago. He was 100. He remembers fighting alongside white veterans in World War II. He remembers coming back and seeing his white veterans get homes and lands and pensions and the door being slammed in his face. And we are going to say that America that says liberty and justice for all, that's okay, get over it, keep it moving. But we have to hear never forget for everyone else's tragedy. And as far as from where reparations will come, I need people to stop thinking it's going to come from their tax dollars. Look at all the trillions that America spends right now. We talk about inflation, the invisible tax. We have something called the PPP loans. Do we remember the PPP loans? America spent $6 trillion on PPP loans. You know what they just did? They canceled all of it. And we didn't even know. America gave the corporations, the banks alone, $29 trillion. You know what they did with that? They canceled all of it. So let's start acting as if America is as hamstrung by debt as they want to pretend.
By slaves. He was absolutely correct. If you look on a timeline, the history of the United States is still fairly brief, and slavery was abolished a mere 155 years ago. It wasn't just the White House that was built using slave labor, by the way. The building that serves as our country's political center, the United States Capitol, was built and rebuilt using slave labor after its sacking in the War of 1812. Although most northern states had abolished slavery by 1804, it's had its fair share of symbols erected using slave labor. If you're familiar with the Trinity Church in New York's financial district, you may not know that the clergy rented enslaved people to build its iconic spires, as well as the wall that used to snake down what we now know as Wall Street. Many of our forefathers were enslavers. Thomas Jefferson's entire property in Charlottesville, Virginia, Monticello, was built and run by enslaved people. Enslaved people also helped build our intellectual centers. Georgetown University, one of the country's oldest colleges, built most of its campuses after the sale of 272 enslaved people in the 1830s. Many schools with storied histories were built in part by enslaved people, including Harvard University's Law School and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That school's campus was maintained by slave labor until its abolishment in 1865. Poor record-keeping and indifference by early historians makes it nearly impossible to know every contribution made to these buildings, but there's no doubt about how they got built.
Happy Black History Month. The White House It's one of the most iconic buildings in America. But what they don't tell you in history class is it was built by enslaved black people. That's right. The very White House where U.S. presidents live today was constructed by people who had no freedom. Let's talk about how black labor literally built the foundation of American power. When George Washington decided to build the White House in 1792, there weren't enough white workers willing to do the back-breaking labor. So, what did they do? They turned to enslaved black people. Many of the workers were enslaved African Americans from Maryland and Virginia, forced to cut stone, lay bricks, and clear the land for what would become the center of American politics. But this wasn't just the grunt work. Enslaved people were skilled carpenters, masons, and blacksmiths who brought their expertise to the project. Some were trained specifically to shape sandstone and install decorative features that still exist today. Their labor was essential, yet their names were erased from history. For years, American history books claimed that white European workers built the White House. It wasn't until First Lady Michelle Obama said it publicly in 2016 that many people even learned the truth. But the records have always been there. Payroll documents from 1795 shows that enslaved black men were forced to work alongside white laborers. Think about it. Enslaved Africans built the White House, and yet, for centuries, black people weren't even allowed to walk through the front door. Enslaved servants worked in the house for generations. And even after slavery, black Americans weren't welcome in its halls unless they were cooking, cleaning, or serving. It wasn't until Barack Obama became president in 2008 that a black family actually lived in the house that our ancestors built. Black labor built in America, and yet we're still fighting for justice. Drop, I think this White House, you know that building, I'm just going to put it right here in the comments. You're reclaiming our history, and tag a friend who needs to hear this.
Various groups, feminists, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortion. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. Wait, could I just say, what have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country.
What do you see?
The black experience is different from any other experience in America. There is slavery. There is Jim Crow. So I really do resent it when people come along and say, well, you can't say the phrase illegal alien when you use the N-word. You can't say retard when you say the N-word. You can't say, I don't know, a million other things. They're always comparing it to the N-word. So the main point I want to make is no other word is like the N-word.
And Coulter for the win, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody saw that coming.
CNN, people are going to say, Ann Coulter. This is one of the first times I've ever agreed with Ann Coulter, and it's on CNN. Mark this down in your calendar. But Ann, you've always felt this way. This isn't new for you, right?
It's not only not new for me, this is standard Republican position. I mean, Justice Rehnquist...
And we're back.
Okay, hang on.
Now,
the reason people...
You remember people kept saying each and everything happen in the dark. There will be a time it will come out at light. This is what we are trying to see in nowadays. Most white people, they are trying to come out to say that enough is enough. We've been trying to hide this truth from our generation, not to know how the racism, slavery, and stolen land, each and everything, how it happens in America. Now, we feel that it's high time we try to open up, to mend, to make peace with these black people, because there is no any way we are going to keep progressing when we have all this sort of sins, atrocities our ancestors committed on this land. This is something people has been saying. But when you try to see some of them, the way they have this heart of asking forgiveness, this is something we would wish to keep having other white people doing the same. You remember Black people passed through slavery in a painful way. It was a bad experience. When you try to see, when you try to watch, this is something you can't wish anyone to pass through. This is something really painful. No wonder some Black people try to ask white people, if you've been giving a human being a chain weight 20 kg, would you willingly, if someone do the same to you, would you manage to carry it? Would you manage to work 24/7 over someone who never give you something to eat, who don't allow you to sleep, who always threaten your life anytime they may end your life? Would you manage to work for that person from generation to generation? From your kids to your grandkids, still working for same person? And you remember, Black people has been taken as property. They never have a right as a human being. And this is something they do intentionally because they try to show them that they are nothing. They belong in nowhere. They don't have anyone to talk to them. This is what we are seeing, these white people. They are trying to correct each and every information, and they started to say, no, we feel sorry. We feel each and everything happened to Black people. It was a bad experience. We never wish something would happen to them. We even feel ashamed of our ancestors, ashamed of ourselves. We could have come out in a big number to fight these things of racism. We could have this time around be the one to amend all these atrocities, all these damages. But it's quite even embarrassing how some of our communities, they still have that mindset to hold tightly these things of racism. No wonder some white people in this video, they are trying to express their remorseful heart for each and everything. But some of them, nowadays, they have that bitterness, trying to understand the Black history. At the same time, they don't want to hear how each and everything is moving. Some, they have that doubt. What if what they told us about Black people is a lie? What if we come out to have unity and these people, they may avenge for each and everything our ancestors did to them? What are we going to do? What should we do? Some white people, they live in that fear. They are scaring. Whenever Black people come out to talk about their issue, you see some of them, they will come online to fight back. Why are you saying something like this? We don't want Black people to keep talking about us. You need to stop talking about us. We see these white people trying to say Black people need to stop talking about them and about their issues. There is no any way Black people are going to be silent. Each and every history is connected to Black people, is connected to white people. If it was not for white people to do all those things, we couldn't see Black people talking about this. If this slavery, this oppression didn't happen, we wouldn't see Black people talking each and every time about the oppression and the oppressors. We wouldn't see them. This is something people need to understand. It is something which is part of the history, and it's part of the hearing at the party of Black people. Whenever they talk about their issues, they are trying to let their heart to recover. You being a grandkids of slaves, they told you each and everything. They told you how they suffered. They show you photos. They show you each and everything you couldn't even found in a Black history library. And you are just sitting there enjoying your wealthy. Your parents got from those slavery. You don't have anything to do with Black people. You are enjoying your life. And yet when they talk about their issues, you don't want them to talk about it. Does it even make any sense? Guys, let me know what you think today's episode. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.